to Cook and Meth with Walter White. Jonesy, that's the wrong cue card.
Oh. Welcome to Baking Biology with your chefs, Chef Randy, Chef Manisha, and Chef Taylor.
Today, our big idea is the structure and function of subcellular components and how their interactions provide essential cellular processes. To show this, we will be making a pizza and explaining certain processes that take place to create our magnificent pizza.
First, we will start with our crust.
You will need 3.5 to 4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1 envelope of instant dry yeast, 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, 1.5 cups of water heated at 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, plus 2 tablespoons you will use later.
We will start by mixing together the 4 cups of all-purpose flour with 1 teaspoon sugar, 1 envelope of dry yeast, 1 teaspoon salt. Once everything is completely combined, turn off the mixer. Different types of flour can determine the texture and malleability of the crust. Using different types of flour can produce a thin crust compared to a thick, moist crust.
Sugar, or sucrose, acts as a source of nutrients for the yeast to feed on and expand. Sucrose is a disaccharide made up of glucose and fructose, which is a common form of table sugar. This nutrient is broken down during cellular processes to form energy for the yeast. If the yeast has no sugar or other source of nutrient, then the yeast will not rise as well.
Now you may be wondering why we don't get drunk when we eat bread. This is because alcohol evaporates in the heat.
The last ingredient in this mixture is salt. Salt is used for flavor and to strengthen the dough. The salt allows the bread to stretch farther, making it tougher. As the crystal salt is an ionic compound, made with what? With charged particles called ions. When mixed with water, the ions spread out. Be careful though, too much salt will cause you to become dehydrated. Too much salt in the blood will cause the water to leave cell by osmosis, causing the lack of water known as dehydration. The lack of water causes cells to work incorrectly.
Next, you need to warm up the water to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. The boiling point of water is 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius, so you don't want to completely boil the water. Once the water is at temperature, add the water to the already mixed dough.
Add about 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, which acts as a lubricant agent, since oil is an unsaturated fat and is a liquid at room temperature. Oil does not mix with water because it is a hydrophobic lipid, or fat, meaning that it repels water. The use of oil in the dough allows for the moisture to leave the dough during baking, creating a crisper crust.
Time to knead our dough. Scrape the dough onto a floured surface, and gently knead into a smooth, firm ball. Okay. The flour is needed to keep the dough from becoming sticky and getting stuck on the table. The flour absorbs the moisture which was causing the stickiness. Kneading the dough is needed to provide the crust with a strong structure and shape. Mechanical kneading, such as using our hands, breaks polypeptide bonds.
These bonds will connect proteins in the dough, and when broken, allow the proteins to rearrange. Once free, the proteins line up and create strands of gluten which strengthen the dough.
Once you are done kneading the dough, grease a large bowl with 2 teaspoons of vegetable oil. The oil will keep the dough from sticking to the bowl. Place the ball of dough in the same bowl, then cover tightly with plastic wrap.
Now for a commercial break.
cheese time! Okay, put however much mozzarella cheese you want on top of the sauce. The cheese contains lactose. Lactose is a disaccharide sugar that lactose is glucose.
The three main components are pizza, which are tomatoes, bread, and cheese, are the byproduct of the sun providing energy, which is used by plants to convert water and carbon dioxide into sugars and oxygen.
Furthermore, the plants are then consumed by animals such as goats and cows, which then produce milk. The nutrition fact on the milk bottle shows that many components contained in it, such as total fats, total carbohydrates, and proteins.
To become cheese, acid must be added to the milk and water must be squeezed out to remove excess liquid. To further develop the texture and flavor of cheese, enzymes are used to induce the formation of curds, and microbes, tiny cells, which produce acid, are used to lower the pH and create a specific flavor.
Now the toppings. Choose your toppings wisely. The vegetables you choose have all undergone photosynthesis. A photosynthesis is the plant's way of obtaining energy from the sun.
You will then bake pizza at 400 degrees Fahrenheit until it turns light brown. While we wait for the pizzas, we will explain other processes that in turn gives us our delicious pizza.
So how can science explain pizza anyway?
Well, the energy from the sun can give plants energy. The small animals eat those which give them energy. The larger animals eat the smaller animals.
Those animals give us byproducts such as milk. The other plants give us flour and tomatoes. When we then use these byproducts to make pizza, the pizza will then give us energy during the digestive process.
Food is broken down into simple sugars, such as glucose, during digestion. These sugars are then used by cells to provide energy via the cellular respiration process.
Well, some foods, like the vegetables on the pizza, take longer to break down glucose. Vegetables come from plants, which use cellulose, a complex sugar, as a main source of nutrients.
Our body cannot digest cellulose by itself. Instead, it breaks down cellulose into multiple starches, a compound made up of long strands of sugar, which can then be broken down into glucose.
Science also explains why pepperoni curls when on a well-cooked pizza. Pepperoni is meat, which means it is primarily made up of proteins. Proteins are large molecules made up of chains of amino acids, which make up large biomolecules.
The curling is due to the denaturation of the proteins from the heat of the oven. Denaturing is the breakdown and the changing of the protein's shape and the function by some source, such as heat in this case. In the pizza's case, the denaturation of the proteins causes the pepperoni to curl.
Let's look back on this episode. We talked about what certain ingredients do to the crust. For example, what is the effect of sugar on the pizza? Yeah, it gives nutrients to the yeast so it can continue to expand and create alcohol.
We also discussed the importance of kneading the dough. What's the importance of kneading the dough anyway? Exactly. Kneading the dough allows the proteins to restructure into gluten and create a tougher bread.
We conversed about the transfer of energy throughout the pizza producing process. The plants use the sun to make energy and our fruits and vegetables. We put these fruits and vegetables on our pizzas, and also the animals such as cows use the plants such as grass for energy to produce our byproducts, such as the milk we use in the cheese. All these things come together to make our pizza, which we use for energy.
The interactions of all these subcellular components provide us with our essential nutrients needed to survive. Every process is affected by the prior process, so if one thing is messed up, it will affect the rest of the cycles.
For example, there are more clouds producing less sunlight for a couple of weeks, and some plants might not be able to, or may begin to die because they cannot produce energy to keep them alive. The herbivores will then have less food to produce energy because more of them will die off because they won't have plants to eat. The process will continue until conditions change again. Thanks to these processes, all our systems are able to not only survive, but thrive today.
See you next week on Baking Biology.